Good afternoon and welcome back to Reasoning with Reagan. I'm your host, Reagan Hubbard, and today we are going to discuss the very controversial topic of the Associated Press, also known as the AP poll rankings. To get an idea of how accurate that is, I have Alex Trader and Sam Danneberg. Alex, tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this?
Yeah, in theory, the AP poll makes a lot of sense. You've got beat writers from a variety of teams all around the country, about 60 of them, giving their rankings on, hey, these are the 25 best teams in the country. But in practicality, they release rankings before games ever played. They have a preseason ranking, which is based on nothing but speculation. So I'm not quite sure where the fairness comes in those rankings, because you're solely looking at name brands and who's been good previously, and not taking into account any actual body of work in those rankings.
One of the biggest problems that can come from the preseason rankings is once you get into the position of rankings for the playoffs, because when two teams are tied in terms of record and what is perceived as how good they are, it's looked at like their past work, who they've beaten. And if one team is beating a ranked team and one team hasn't to be looked at, it's always going to be, the ranked teams are always going to be taken. And when the rankings are aren't made with exact precision, then the position of the playoffs can be completely screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the preseason rankings are very precisely considered. I think that it has a lot to do with transfers, returning players, incoming freshmen, the difficulty of the schedule. So I don't think that it's based off of nothing, but I do see where it can be, a lot based off speculation and luck. And I also think that whenever it comes down to if they live up to the hype, a lot of it has to do with coaching too. So.
And I understand what you're saying there about the incoming freshmen and the transfers, but when you look at recruiting rankings every single year, what couple of teams end up in the top 10 that end up never doing anything? Notre Dame, Tennessee, to some extent, Georgia for the past couple of years have had high recruiting rankings and never been able to quite seal the deal in terms of a national championship. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at those type of rankings, the rankings do have some subjective aspect in them, and even when you're looking at recruiting, you're going to see, hey, this kid committed to Alabama, he must be really good, so let's bump him up a little bit. Right. And you see the same thing in the AP poll. Texas, every single year, without fail, ends up in the top 15, and every single year, without fail, they're not back. They'll never be back because they keep getting lied to in the preseason, mm-hmm. and it makes teams' wins like LSU, like Texas, or like LSU over Texas a couple years ago look so much more impressive than it actually is.
Good point.
There are serious problems that the AP poll has caused in terms of the results of the playoffs and upsets and all that sort. But in the grand scheme of things, college football on TV, they're trying to make money. And for a casual viewer that hasn't been keeping up with the new recruits, the new coaching, who's playing what position, they don't know what game to watch. And if there was a position that, if there was a game where there was two ranked teams versus two unranked teams in the beginning of the season, 9 out of 10 times they're going to watch that ranked game, and that's probably who the networks want them to watch.
Well, that is all the time we have for Reasoning with Reagan. I'm your host, Reagan Hubbard. Thank you again, Alex Trader and Sam Danneberg, for joining us. We will see you next time.